Woke up this morning, coffee in hand, flipped on the screen, my favorite man. Crafty's on the TV, chipping that stone with obsidian and flint, he's in the zone. He's shaping the future with a hit and a crack, building the legends, ain't no turning back. With every sharp edge, he's teaching the way of the ancients who thrived back in the day. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack, stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. Underneath those layers of dust and grit, finds the magic every little bit. A sculptor of stories, buried in the ground, each piece he uncovers wisdom abound. With every collision, the sparks start to fly. As the old world awakens, we question why. He's digging deeper where the shadows play, reviving old crafts that can fade away. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack, stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. And in this life, we're all just searching for our place in the world, a way to keep working. With the flick of his wrist, he brings forth the light. In every gray morning, he makes it feel right. So gather around, let the stories unfold. Crafty's our guide through the young and the old. With the sun rising high and the day moving on, Crafty carves dreams till the light is all gone. He's shaping the future one chip at a time. With every creation, he's keeping the rhyme. From the heartland of Texas to the mountains of green, the legacy lives on through the stonework unseen. With every perspective, he's showing the way. Crafty keeps going, come whatever may. Crafty on the TV, talking that smack, stone carving dreams, never looking back. From Texas to Vermont, Crafty studies us, chiseling the past, building futures for us. Wielding the hammer, he's steady and strong, crafting a world where we all belong. So here's to the mornings, with coffee in hand and Crafty on the screen, the true heart of the land. With a hit and a crack, he's paving the way through stone and through story. He inspires the day.
Hello everybody. I've got some unboxings to do. I'm going to be napping some slabs. This is a 2-hour live stream, but I also interact with the audience. So if you want only the process, you're not going to get it here. You go to my other videos that are not live streams. Those are 100% process if it says instructional or tutorial. Now, if it doesn't say instructional or tutorial, then you're going to get some chit chat in there too that you might not like. So, fair warning, I'm going to be interacting with the audience on this live stream, and I will not only be doing napping. Like I said, I got some unboxings. I got some gifts. Yep. Christmas in January. I'm looking at my tools and I need to sharpen them up and stuff. I'm going to be knapping some slabs. A lot of pressure flaking involved with slabs, but I'm going to try to do a lot of it with indirect percussion. Okay, so let me check the chat. Let's see. I have not made sure that the audio is working. I hope it is, because then I hate starting over. All right, where am I? I want to see if I can hear myself. I don't have any fancy equipment, so also be warned. Fair warning, I don't have fancy equipment, so where am I? So there's that. Everything is pretty much just winging it.
So there's that.
Okay. I can hear myself. All right, so who do we have? Let's put the glasses on. Hello from Southwest Louisiana. Grayland is here. Keith is here. Clint. Flakes Guard. Hey, Ben Rivera's here. Ben? You're here. Ben is a buddy of mine. Mac Bales, Clint Stoner. Hey, Sal's here. Check out Blades and Points by SGP. Hey, Super Chat. Wait a second. Yeah, Sal just gave me $9.99 Super Chat. Good afternoon, my friend. Good afternoon. I will heart and like your Super Chat. Yes, yes. Thank you, thank you. The day's starting off good. Who else we got in the house? Mac Bales. Oh, let's see here. Yeah, we hear you. Okay, good. My audio is working good. Hopefully. Leo is here. Leo Garza from Zapata, Texas. Blake's Barbering. Are you a barber listening to the live stream? That'd be awesome. Okay. All right, so what do we got first? We've got some unboxings, okay? So this one is from Sal, Blades and Points. I'm going to open it, hopefully without showing the address. So to protect the innocent, I'm gonna use my stone knife. Yep. Dude, that's not a stone knife. Why you keep saying that? Why? You're being all weird and stuff. Yeah, I know. I used to carry around a piece of stone as a knife. Yeah. But now, well, I invested in a nice, expensive utility knife. Yes, I did. And then that's what I use now. All right, so Sal sent me some stuff. This is probably just packaging, but I'm going to check just in case. Okay. This looks packed very well. What did he send? What is this stuff? What is it? Oh, it's the plastic wrap. Cellophane wrap that he uses. This is going to come in handy for shipping. Yep. It's awesome. 3 rolls of it. Thanks, Sal. Thank you, thank you. That's good stuff. Looks like good stuff. It makes it easy because I have these big rolls. I got these huge, gigantic rolls of plastic wrap. And this will make it easier to wrap stuff for shipping. Awesome, thanks. What else we got? What do nappers send to each other? I don't know. This is all just random stuff. What is it? I think I have something similar to this. Oh, wait a second. It must be nappable stone. Yeah. Must be. Is that what we all send to each other? Just a bunch of rocks? Pretty much. Texas Raw. Yes. Oh, this is... Actually, this one might look... This one might be good stuff. See, this one looks like it's challenge rock. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I forget. If I don't write the names on this, it gets mixed up with all my stuff. So this is going to take up time on the live stream as well. Okay? And today's what, 20 January 2025. I'll stash it and I'll find it again in 2027. No, it's 2026. 2026. I can't even read that. That's another thing. If I write stuff on there, I got to be able to read it. Sal, yeah. If you don't write who you are on the stones, you're gonna make me take time out of my live streams to do it. Yeah. I don't care if it's not January 20th. It's close enough. I don't even know. All right, so that's from Sal. And then we got a bunch of other stuff. Good thing that he didn't send me like 100 items, huh? Because then I had to write on all of them. Dude, just put it back in the same box where you got it from. That way you know. Yeah, I got stacks of those too. That's how I lose them though. Because I stack them up. I lose them less if I write who they're from on each piece. Oh, this looks like interesting stuff. Does it say? 2 pieces of heat treat Novaculite flakes. Okay, these are Novaculates. This is for me. I'm not going to offer these. Well, probably not in the auction. I'll try to Novaculite. I'll try to write fast. All right. I like this kind of stuff for my own personal collection. These lighter color, almost white. Let's see. Novaculite from Sal. All right, so let's just hurry this up because I'm getting impatient myself. Yeah. Come on. My stone knife isn't working that great. Texas heat treats. Okay, so this is a heat treat. What is the other one heat treat too? Because this looks like the other one. Yeah. Interesting. Texas heat treat again. See, Sal's been heat treating stuff. I haven't heat treated anything in over a year. I've been slacking. I've been napping mostly raw stuff lately, so this is another heat treat. Yeah. So I'm writing on all the stones now as much as possible. Whereas before I was not, because I was thinking to myself, if I can't remember who it's from, I must be a real dum-dum. Well, guess what? I can't remember where the stuff is from. So that means I'm a dum-dum. All right, so this one is from Bushy. Yes, right? Yes. From New York. Let's see what we got. Yep. I'll check the chat in a minute. If you have questions, just hold on. I hope I don't cut through anything good. Yeah, that's just packaging. Okay. I worry that sometimes I'm going to cut into something good and then regret it. Yeah. I'm opening it upside down because I don't want to show his address. He's innocent, you know. There might be guilt by association, but I don't want it to get worse. Flint Ridge or Burlington? Let me see. I don't know. He's asking me. I think it's Flint Ridge, yeah. Flint Ridge has these little pockets and little specks and stuff. That's what Flint Ridge looks like. Burlington is not like that. Burlington is more smooth. In my experience, yeah, Flint Ridge has all these little these little specks, or I don't know what they are. Little voids, not specks. Little voids. That's Flint Ridge. Yeah. This time I will put it in the same box because it's small enough. And hopefully I won't lose it when I stack it up. Onondaga. Yes. Let's see. By the way, this is how you're supposed to package with lots of padding and stuff. All right, so this is Onondaga. Okay. Onondaga comes in various shades, right? Onondaga. Right? Is that how you spell it? Yeah, Onon. Okay. So I'm going to stash these over here, and I will put them back in the same box. Obsidian. Banded obsidian. Mahogany obsidian. I might actually nap some of this. This is the type of mahogany obsidian that gives everybody nightmares after they nap it. Yeah. It's mahogany from Hades. All right, so more Onondaga. Some people have like literally tons of this stuff in their backyard. Yeah. Not that I'm saying that Bushy does. I'm just saying Esopus. The Onondaga is fairly common in New York and surrounding areas, and it can be napped into nice looking points. So this is Esopus or Esopus. I can't remember how to pronounce it. So yeah, this is actually better than the Onondaga. So Esopus. Esopus. I can't remember if there's a C in there somewhere. Is there a C in your name, Bushy? Yes. There we go. Yay. I did it. Norman skill. Okay, let's see. See, I can use this now that someone knows. I can use this to look at my other stuff. I have got other stuff like this, and I wanted to make sure I label it correctly, because now I can group these, whatever looks like this in my stash. I'm going to call it Norman skill. Yeah. Hey man, you didn't write the date on it. You're going to lose track, just like always. I know I didn't write the date on it. But I'm going to keep the original box, okay? I'm not making fun of anybody. I'm just saying, hey, this is like a greenish Norman skill. Bushy. Bush. Beautiful. Awesome. Fantastic. Tremendous. And wonderful. Yes. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'll stash everything back in the box that it came in. And Bushy's name is on it. So that's good. On the box. That'll help. I'm not doing any more projects on the side, but I do receive gifts, and if you want to send stuff, I will try to get it on video. And then I'll try to make sure I don't lose the stuff you send me. And we'll go from there. Okay? Okay. I will make more of an effort as time goes by. Before, I was doing all kinds of stuff. I was doing stuff on the side. I was trying to come up with new things for the channel. I was doing side projects of not only napping, but other stuff. I will not get into it. You know, other crafts. And it just bogged me down, and I could not keep up, and I got way behind, and I got depressed. Started getting burned out. So now, I'm not doing any more side projects at all. None. Zero. Nada. And I'm labeling everything. Okay. Where are we? Where was I? Oh, wait. Oh, no. I thought I had missed one. So thank you, Bushy. That was awesome. Let me check the chat before I start napping. Okay. Let's see. Where am I? Did you send him his... Let's see. What's going on? I see people talking to each other. That's okay. Marty says Old Man Winter showed up. Oh, yeah. He's in North Dakota. Old Man Winter is going to get a lot worse, too. I saw the temperatures in the negatives. I mean, these are serious temperatures in North Dakota. Clint says it's in Michigan, it's 24 degrees. I think it was 6 degrees here. 6 degrees Fahrenheit a few hours ago. I'm in Vermont right now. That's where I'm living. I will be living here permanently or until further notice, but I will visit Texas once or twice a year. My family's in Texas. All my kids were born in Texas. And most of them are still there. My ex-wife is there. Let's see. Jared says, what's cracking, people? And Marty's in the house, yes. He used to be Buckskin NYB, in case you guys didn't know that he changed the name of his channel. Royal Crafting says, yeah, he laughs. Onion Daga. Yeah, Onion Daga. That's how he pronounces it? Is that how you pronounce it? Onondaga, I think. I'm excited to see what you can get from the Onondaga, says Clint. Okay. I might not nap slabs then, right? I was going to do slabs on Wednesdays from now on. Saran wrap, says Sal. How did that white get so glossy? I don't know. Are there any types of stone that need more than 400 degrees Fahrenheit? I think Danny Collins sometimes brings his upwards of 600. Yeah, Clint, there's a lot of stuff. Clint Stoner, that's a good question. There's a lot of stuff that responds to heat in the areas of 600 to 700 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah. Okay, Novaculite off the top of my head for one, but there's others too. I said there's lots of them. Yeah, but most stone reacts at about 400. Most. But you get that 10%, let's say, that you need to heat above 600 degrees Fahrenheit, like novaculites and some of this other stuff that I can't remember the names of, but they're usually completely unnappable, and you have to, heat them extremely hot for stone in order to get them nappable. So yeah, I forget the names. There's at least 2 other types of stone that I should know off the top of my head that requires 600 degrees Fahrenheit plus. And then not only that, you need to soak them, quote unquote, in the heat for hours and hours, up to 48 hours in some cases. But yeah, if you want to know all this stuff, just ask Danny Collins. Did anyone else see the rock tour Danny Collins did the other day? He had a very nice heat can, says Keith. Yeah, the kiln. He uses a kiln, right? Marty says, I made a special 1-hour show and tell video of my Patrick and Sal and Jake points. Oh, awesome. I need to go see it. Yep. Okay, so I think I caught up. Tyler Cobb, did you talk to them yet? What does that mean? Let's see. If you have questions, I will check the chat from time to time and try to answer the questions. But there's people waiting for me to start napping, so I got to get to it. Yeah. Okay. So I was going to check this out first, see if this is nappable in this long direction. It probably is not, because it's got voids in it. So I don't know. How do I tackle something like this? I usually just hit on it and see if it breaks easily. If it doesn't break easily, well, that broke down here. If it doesn't break easily, then I can usually nap it. But I tap on it first. I can hear that there's an issue. Where's it gonna break? Come on, there it is. See, I could tell there was an issue because it didn't sound right. I didn't expect that. I thought it was gonna break across here. So that's how I treat these, right? That makes it much easier to deal with if I know where the cracks are to begin with. See how that mess right there? You can't see that from the surface. But I can get arrowheads out of these pieces. Okay? Let's see what this does. Oh, that sounds solid. Yeah. That has a tone. Now, the Onondaga, someone said he's anxious to see what I can get from the Onondaga. So what I'll do is I'll nap these pieces on this live stream. Okay, these three. No one wants to see pieces this small because anyone can nap those. Yeah. All right, so how about this? Is this a snap, crackle, pop type of mahogany obsidian? I think it is. Yeah, it feels like plastic. It's very delicate. It feels like it's not from Earth. But I like it still. You know, I make arrowheads out of stuff like this. These small flakes of mahogany obsidian. But yeah, this is the type that's very delicate. Okay, so you have to be very careful with it. It's very divey. It has all the bad qualities of obsidian. It's very crushy on the edges when you try to sharpen it. It's unpredictable sometimes because it does have natural defects. It's very easy to find, right? That was a big crack. I think this is an easy type of obsidian to find wherever obsidian exists. And you can get lots of it from Mexico as well. But you've got to test it. This one had some natural or some existing cracks in it, so it's got issues. And you may need a box of tissues. Yeah. But anyways, let's see what this has. I'm going to test it. This is a testing stage where I figure out if it's got defects. And then I make a little biface with the non-defective material. I figure out where's the best place to preserve to get the most length and width. All right, so I'm just kind of testing it out. Is it going to be good? Is it going to behave? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. How about closer? Close-up view. I'm going to try to do close-up views so you guys can see. And I'm not grinding it yet. Amazing, huh? I'm not abrading this at all, and I'm getting these great little arrowhead spalls. How is that even possible? I don't know. Internet culture might tell you that you need to grind this stuff a lot to get anything good. But like I said many times, you do not listen to internet culture when it comes to flintknapping. No, do not listen. Do not listen at all. You can hang around with those guys. They're not bad guys. They're just regurgitarians. Yeah, it's a flintknapping term. You never heard of a regurgitarian? Dang. All right. So let's see. I need to get rid of this lumpage, and then we have a biface. And I didn't grind it at all. No. And I'm not gonna either until I get to the next stage. Because that's the way I roll. I'm gonna do the same thing with the Onondaga if it works. See, this is so easy to nap that I don't need to grind it. Yeah. Sweet. And for some reason, I actually like this stuff. Maybe I'm masochistic, but I actually like this type of obsidian. This buttery and plastic feeling stuff, but I like it in the black color, not necessarily in the red color. but I do like this stuff. And other people, like I said in the beginning, it gives them nightmares. Yeah, they get all frazzled and they get PTSD from this stuff because it breaks so easily. You just look at it weird and it says, "No, I'm breaking. And you're looking at me weird, dude. I'm gonna break." Yep. As soon as you think you got it conquered, I'm gonna snap in half. But the reason why I like it is because I don't get a lot of fatigue when I nap this. I can nap bifaces of this all day and not get tired physically. Mentally, yes, but not physically. There's nothing worse than, I'm being wide awake mentally and then you get exhausted physically exhausted trying to nap something that's really tough. And your brain says, "You could do it, dude." And your wrist and your arm say, "No, you can't do it. I can't do it. My shoulder hurts. My back hurts." So this is not physically demanding. Yeah. It's just mentally demanding in some cases. All right, so I got as thin as I could without abrading it. So it's actually a good piece. Yeah. What's next? We're going to do the same with the Onondaga, right? The onion daga. Same boppers, same technique, same angles, everything same. Except, I'm hitting much harder. But it's the same angles, the same positions. I got my elbows on the tops of my legs to support my arms while I'm swinging and hitting. So, it improves the accuracy if you anchor your elbows. I'm not just out here free, completely free. This is freehand napping, but I do have my elbows on my legs. All right, so Onondaga. Let's see. I don't think it smells like oil, but my nose was stuffy this morning, so I might be missing what it smells like. But I don't think this smells like oil in most cases. I don't know. Why do I say that? Because sometimes you can identify a stone by the way it smells, believe it or not. Yeah, this is working okay. You want to see what I can get from the Onondaga? It depends. If it's got internal issues, I won't be able to get much because I can't make miracles. But this one does not it seems like it does not have internal issues. A lot of this has cracks from weathering, like this out in the winter. This comes from winterland where there's winters, real winters. So if the rock comes from winterland, many times it has weathering cracks or freeze cracks. This one looks like it's okay. The smaller the better, because the smaller pieces are not as affected as the larger pieces. That was too much. See, that was my bopper uncoordination. It wasn't supposed to take that much off. Yeah, that's my fault because I don't have bopper coordination. And no matter how many times I practice, I keep practicing and I kept doing the same thing over and over and over again with boppers. And I figured out that over time, I just don't have the coordination. So I stopped doing the same thing over and over and over again because I was not getting different results. Okay. Yeah, but if you would have ground it down, man, you wouldn't have done that. If you just grind it. No, grinding is not that great. Grinding is not great. Grinding is necessary sometimes, but it's not like the be-all, end-all. When I first started making videos, there was a lot of internet culture people criticizing me for not grinding. So I even did less grinding just to show them that you don't have to. Now, if the artifacts had bunches of grinding on them, yeah, I would have said, okay, fine. But if you look at artifacts, they don't have lots of grinding on them. Like this, if you see something like this out in the field and you know that Native Americans were knapping on it, check out the edges. They're not ground down. Prove me wrong. Show me something that's ground down a lot like we do it these days. And make sure it's not because of it's tumbling in a river or something. Okay? So this is as far as I can go with the bopper. So yeah, I would grind it down now and then hit it with indirect percussion. But let's move to this slab and see what I can do with the slab. Let's cut cortex on that side, so that's not good. I'm going to nap this down a little bit with the bopper, even though it's risky because of my uncoordination. Not because it's a bopper, but because of my non-coordination. And I think I need to clarify that, because sometimes I'll say stuff like, it's kind of risky, blah, 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 but it's not because it's the bopper, it's because it's me. So that is important to make that distinction. Because some guys will say, wait a second, I can do it, it's not risky at all, dude, what are you talking about? I'm talking about the way that I do it and my own personal limitations in many cases. So I'll try to be clear about that. Sometimes it is the bopper that is the issue. But in this case, it's not. It's me. I really can't be all that accurate. Yeah, it feels... See, I can hit it and it won't break. So as long as I don't go over that amount of force that I just used, I'm safe. But if I start using more force than I was just using to hit this, I'm asking for trouble. You know, when I tested it out earlier, I kind of, I don't know, remembered that amount of force. So if I can't get any flakes to get removed, if I can't get any flakes removed with that amount of force, that testing force, then I'll switch over to indirect percussion. But I think I can still get some flakes with the bopper with that amount of testing force. I've seen guys, you know, they don't always test it, but when they do, they'll say, oh, okay, it sounds solid, and then whack with a really hard hit. Why would you do that? You just tested it with a little bitty hit. Why would you whack the side of it with a really hard hit? Okay, you gotta make sure that you are smart about it. All slabs are always too thin in the middle. That's one of the Flintknapping rules on this channel. All slabs are too thin in the middle, all of them, because they're not thin down on the ends. If they were pre-ground down to be convex everywhere, then they're fine. But these are not pre-ground. And some guys out there, I know, dude, I've seen artifacts that have the same thickness from tip to toe. That's the same thickness, and I've seen artifacts like that. What are you talking about? Yes, there are artifacts like that, but that doesn't mean they're not too thin in the middle. They got lucky that it didn't break. It's still too thin in the middle, even if there's artifacts like that. You know, just because there's artifacts like that doesn't mean they're perfect. Now, there are some like Harahay knives. I've seen them in museums. They're almost the same thickness all the way down, and all they do is bevel them. Yeah, they do knap them to where they're almost the same thickness from tip to base. I've seen those Harahay knives. Harahay knives in museums. But they do have a slight taper from middle to end, but it's not very much, but there is a slight taper. and they look pretty much flat like this. So that's an exception where a type is made to be flat. But if you are using modern tools and you're knapping like modern knappers, chances are you're going to snap it. They must have had a different way of knapping back then, slightly different than the way we do it, to get these pieces that are very thin in the middle to not break. I don't know what they were doing. I don't know. There are some knappers these days, I guess, that can consistently make really long, thin points. And they are using direct percussion, so maybe that's the way they used to do it. Just people that have natural, innate ability with direct percussion to make these long, thin blades. Okay. So yeah, there may have been exceptions in the past because of people that are naturally skilled at this. Not everyone is naturally skilled at knapping. In general, though, artifacts are fat in the middle and then thinner on the ends, in general. I'm being very careful to only use the amount of force that I tested it with, and not any more. Not any more force than I used to test it out. Now, I'm hitting this end, and this end is real heavy on the backside here. Why is it not snapping in the middle? It's because I'm using the minimum amount of force. Sometimes it doesn't always generate a flake. But I think this is good enough for now, and I'm going to start doing this lower area. But yeah, there is a bit of luck also. I'm kind of lucky that it didn't break, because this is a weak spot here. It's not that weak, but if there was like little voids and stuff through here, I wouldn't have been so casually. I wouldn't have been knapping this so casually. I would have probably done it with pressure flaking and taking a lot more time with it. But this feels solid enough to use the direct percussion. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Not yet. It's just a matter of getting rid of the square edge and thinning it down a little bit on the ends. Getting rid of the square edge on the ends. There's a lot of cortex here, so I need to get rid of that too. See, this material is not good. So I'll be trimming. Since I'm going to be doing mainly slabs on Wednesdays from now on, I'm going to take a little more time doing the slab than the other two pieces. Okay, so I'm going to zigzag it where I can. There's no trick to this except maybe just don't directly hit it there. You kind of come in with hits from angles instead of hitting straight in like this. See, I didn't hit any hits directly from the tip here. All of this stuff was done from the sides. That's safer than hitting directly on the tip. And same down here, hitting directly down here. It's safer to thin it from the sides when it's really thin in the middle. I'll probably get rid of this chalky stuff with indirect percussion. Yeah. Yeah, because I need to be more accurate. Yeah. Why do I need to be more accurate? Because it's I'm going to try to preserve as much good stuff as possible. And I need to, you know, run flakes that aren't wasteful. So I need to be more accurate. I want to, like I said, I want to try to preserve as much of this good stuff as possible and get rid of this chalky stuff. Yeah, we'll see. I'm going to leave this thick for now because it'll help keep it from breaking. And then do this side without removing this square edge yet. But anyways, that's plan A. I'm going to try to remove this chalky stuff first before I remove the square edge. If it seems like there's too much chalky stuff, or if it encroaches too much, I'll probably break it somewhere to make it shorter, to make it easier to finish out. We'll see. If it gets way too narrow, it's just too aggravating to finish it out that way. So I'm thinning it from the sides. I'm coming in from the sides. And I'm not hitting it with any more force than the initial testing force. I want to make sure that's clear. I always test the slabs. I even test the bottle bottoms if I have bottle bottoms, which I will also do on Wednesdays. I just don't have any bottle bottoms available right now. But yeah, see, just very gentle hits. Okay, so that might not look like it's very thin down. That's pretty obvious. I could have probably thinned it down a little bit more, but I'm going to do the rest of this with indirect percussion. Yeah. I don't trust myself sending in these longer flakes with the bopper because I'm not that accurate, like I said. So they're either going to dive in or they're going to be too short. Even though I get the angle correct, if it's not swung properly, if I don't swing it properly, that also affects how the flake travels. Yeah. It's not just the angle, it's how you swing this. And it's not just the amount of force. There's something in the positioning and where you strike it on the edge of the bopper or on the surface of the bopper. There's something there. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because I don't know exactly the mechanics of where to hit on the edge of the bopper or what type of bopper to use. You know, I should be using a more weight forward bopper or something. I don't know. Anyways, I can avoid all that just by using indirect percussion. It's so much easier. Yeah. Okay. So I don't have to concern myself with that stuff. I'm going to clean up here. Hold on. This next stage is a different mindset. So you know what happens, right? Boys and girls, when I change my mindset, I also clean up. It helps me. Yeah, I know. I just cleaned off the book and I put more dust on it. And this is a good example of what the artifacts look like, right? Where's the symmetry? Where's the perfect notch depth symmetry? Where's the edge symmetry? Where's the perfectly smooth surfaces? I see step fractures and stuff. I see little unsymmetrical barbs. I see it taking in too much on one side than the other. This is what the artifacts look like. Now, as a professional napper, we're not supposed to make them like this. But if I make one that looks like an artifact and put it on display, I get stuff like, "You made that?" "Yeah, I made it." "But wait, why'd you do that? This over here skinny and that's fat. Why'd you do that?" "Well, that's the way the artifacts look." "But you made it?" "Yeah." So what I do is I don't make them like this, because if I were to try to sell one like this, it would sell for like $2, maybe $5 if the guy likes me. Yeah. So don't be worried that you don't get perfect napping done. Okay, this is what the artifacts look like. See that? Where's the symmetry? Now you say, well, there's some of them do have symmetry, you know that, and they're very well made and blah blah blah. Yeah, that's why they call it a G10. But even this G10, the most perfect example of that type, if I try to make something like that and sell it, it'll sell for $5. Yeah, it's got to be better than G10. Or people go, "Wait a second, did you make that?" "Yeah, I made it." "But why?" But if they find it as an artifact, it's the most beautiful thing in the world. All right, let's see what I got in the chat before I start on the indirect percussion. Talking about weather stuff. Hey, Alan is here. Patrick is using direct percussion on a slab at Crazy Sauce. Yeah, I know. And no grinding. No abrading either. Even crazier. Faith and Sawdust is here. Ed Gould is here. Then do a little flake, then center, deltas, then bigger flakes. Yeah, you can do that process. If you're coordinated, which I am not. Mr. Ducky, WSP blades points. I don't know what that means. Let me see. Ed Gould says, I have cut a groove all around a center line to flake from. That's an interesting way to do it. Yeah. Let's see. So Sal is napping right now. Yeah, cool. Everybody's holding their breath waiting for the snap. Yeah. But I've already tested it, so you guys should have been breathing easy. I tested it before I started hitting the edge. Let's see. I think they've got some angler grinder blades that will grind the glass really well. Yeah. Yeah, there are blades that you can attach to your angle grinders to grind glass down. Yes, yes. Ed says, I got a brick saw. I wonder if it would work to shape some rocks. Don't wonder. Just do it. Could you speak up a little bit? I can't hear you. Yeah, sometimes I don't speak directly to the phone. I'm out looking at something else or whatever. I'm trying to speak directly into the phone that I'm filming with. Clint says, that's why I asked Patrick. Most pieces are small or badly cracked. Most artifacts aren't bigger than 2 inches. Yeah, he's talking about the Onondaga. Yeah, this one here, let's measure it. This is a pretty good standardized piece. Let me see. At least from my experience, I think it's probably 3 inches. Yeah, 3 1/4. This is a pretty good average piece. And I could probably end up with a 3-inch long finished piece. Yeah, as long as I don't do anything fancy. You know, it'd just be a point on the base and a point on the tip, and then put a stem on it. Yeah. If I do a concave base, I remove some length. But yeah. This does have issues in it, right? It does have like concretey areas, but they're not that bad. You'll see as it gets thinner, that's when we start to see how good it's going to be. Once it starts getting thinner. Right now, it's just a turtle back. This is a turtle shell, basically. So I will be napping on this in a little bit. I've got time, right? Let's see. I got an hour and 15 minutes. But I'll go over my time Today I got lots of time. Yeah, I don't get tired until like after sundown. It does get dark quick here, but let's see. I'm gonna make sure I nap this. I probably won't do too much more on this because it's pretty straightforward. After you get the initial biface, it's like most other obsidians. Yeah, a real pain. In other words, most other obsidians are a real pain. There's some that are high grade that won't snap as easily. Okay, so let me get back to this. And I am going to start grinding because I'm going to be using the copper, and the copper will smash the edge unless it's nice and strong.
Yeah, but you were just using copper bopper and you didn't grind the edge. What's up?
Yeah, it's different. It doesn't. The indirect percussion flaker doesn't spread out the force. It concentrates it. So I need to make sure that where it's concentrated is strong. With the bopper, it spreads out the force and you can hit a more delicate edge. That's my scientific explanation. And I braid everything just so I don't have to come back and I braid it over and over and over. I'll do a pass all the way around or something. Oh yeah, I was going to just take this off. This nasty area. It transitions from being really good to being nasty. So I'm going to remove the nasty. Yes, that is a Flintknapping term. It's a phrase in Flintknapping. It's called removing the nasty. Sometimes the nasty part has nice colors in it, or nice patterns or designs. Oh well. I've learned not to preserve any nasties that have nice colors. No. I'm not going to do it. It's not worth it. Okay, so here we go. Is it close enough? Is the view close enough to see what I'm doing? See, those flakes got sticky. They didn't show right away. They were still on there. Did you notice that? No? Okay, get closer. Yeah. These flakes are a little sticky. What does that mean when the flakes are sticky? That means that they don't fly off as easily as some other materials. Sticky is a Flintknapping term. Yes, yes. Okay. The edge is crushing there, and I don't know why. I got a sign that says if I knew why it was doing it, I wouldn't do it. If I knew why I was messing up, I wouldn't do it. Yeah. That one looked okay. But I'm not hitting directly. I'm not hitting directly like this because it can snap. I'm kind of sneaking up on it by doing some diagonals. Okay? I'm doing diagonals. The diagonal twists. It twists, which is stronger than if you were just to hit it. There. That bends. There's a difference between twisting and bending. You want to try to twist it instead of bending it whenever possible. Which means, hitting it diagonally. And it's funny how the artifacts a lot of times have diagonal flaking. Huh. Interesting. Okay, so Some people might be saying,
I don't like it when you criticize the artifacts because the artifacts are wonderful and tremendous.
yes, I know the artifacts are wonderful. Yes, I know. And I have a lot of respect for the artifacts. But I'm just saying, they're not perfect. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to nap perfectly. And if you don't nap perfectly, you don't have to be self-conscious. Some guys might make fun of you, but that's on them. Okay? If they make fun of you for not being perfect, they're obviously ignoring all the artifacts. Obviously. They might not say that they are, but they are. Obviously. I've seen a lot of people who actually claim that they've studied artifacts, but they don't cut anybody any slack. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. All right. So there's a nasty spot right there. See, I gotta nap away the nasty right there. It's not flaking properly. So yeah, I gotta whittle it down. Starting from the top, I'm gonna whittle it down some more. And I'm being very careful because I'm out here on the tip, okay? And I'm not supporting it. I'm just holding it where I'm hitting it. There's no overall support, which it might be smarter to do that, but in the past I have unconsciously or whatever pushed in the middle while I'm napping and snapping it just by finger grip. So it doesn't really help all that much, at least in my case. Some guys, I think they have a better feel for support. I don't use it. I just hope and pray, right? I just hit and hope, mostly. I hate to admit it, but that's what I do. I'm hoping that my forces that I'm using is not going to break it. I'm also judging how much shock is being transmitted. I don't feel much shock in the piece. I hit snappy enough that it's not shocking the piece. If I slow down these hits, then yeah, it pulls on it. I don't want any pulling on it. I want these flakes to come off in a snappy kind of way. Yeah. And some guys are afraid to do that. And that's fine. Just pick a slab that you don't mind breaking and then go to town on it and find the limits. Some guys will say, I don't have any slabs that I don't mind breaking. All my slabs are precious, and you're just reckless. Yeah, okay. I'm not going to argue with that. But yeah, if you can, find a slab that you can mess with to get the feel for how much you need as far as minimum amount of force. I try to use the minimum amount, but there's a fine line between using a minimum amount and not using enough. Yeah. And those subtle little differences are so annoying. But that's part of Flintknapping, I guess. Got to put up with the annoying stuff. I did not measure this, did I? Before I started. I'm losing little bits and pieces off the tip as I go. It's 4 3/4. It was probably like 5 1/4, or I don't know. When I started, it was probably over 5 inches a little bit. I know I've been losing some length off the tip, but I'm going to have to be conscious of how narrow it's going to get. I don't want this to be fat or wide up here and then narrow down here as I remove the junk or remove the nasty. This is going to bite into this as I remove the nasty, so I want to make sure this is narrow enough up here so there's not a lot of weight here. If I start napping a lot here and there's a lot of weight up here, it'll snap across. Yeah. So this is just napping slabs is an exercise in being very careful. which means it's a little bit more aggravating than normal napping. And yeah, the flakes are the same way, but for some reason, the slabs just are a little more annoying in my book. Now there are such things as percussion slabs that are 1/2 inch thick. This one is not. This one is it's almost a 3/8. It's like a 32nd of an inch under 3/8. 3/8 is not too bad, but it's better if they're 1/2 inch thick for percussion. Yeah. Yeah, see that's I'll have to make sure I nap all that away because it can't be sharpened or anything. So I'm just working my way down this edge. Okay, and if I had to take some tip off, I will. But I've got to, maintain some symmetry, maintain my strategy. I'm keeping this thick here. That helps to prevent it from breaking while I nap this side. Hey, Jesse, super chat, $5. Thank you, thank you. Awesome. No comment attached. Thanks for that too, because it's hard for me to read it. And let's look at the other phone. And I'm using a 3/8 inch diameter copper rod. I probably should have used a smaller diameter up here, but oh well. Why does it make a difference? I can get in to tighter areas with the smaller diameter, but I don't really need it at this stage. I can probably get away with this 3/8. Yeah. So far, so good. Yeah. This is nice and crunchy. Yeah. Sarcasm. I'm leaving this thick so it won't break. Okay. This is going to be relatively easy to nap because I don't see any nasties in here. So there's not much force required to remove that edge. So I'm not too worried about it. I will start as I go down further. I will start removing it, but not until I can get a pretty good idea of how far this nasty stuff goes in. If it's going to get really, really narrow, I will still remove the square edge eventually, but I'll use more pressure flaking since it's more controlled. Less chance of error if this starts getting really narrow. Yeah, we'll see. Let me test it out. Just to make sure there's no nasties in this area. Yeah, I'm just tapping it very lightly. Yeah. Yeah, that'll work. If there was nasty stuff on this side, then I'd be in trouble. Okay. All right, let's see. Let's see if I can get rid of some of this. No, I didn't do it. Now this is above center line. If you look, I've been hitting above center line a lot, but I'm not hitting inward. If you're above center line, you can still hit it, right? Just don't try to hit inward too much. And I'm not. Just taking flakes off the edge. That's it. I'm not trying to strike into the middle. Not yet. I'm doing some damage control by removing these nasty areas. So I think we're mostly through that. Okay. I was not expecting to have such a thick or such a wide nasty area on this. Yeah, okay. And I also have to watch for cracks. Make sure I don't have these big cracks. if I install a crack on the edge, I got to remove that before I go any further. Like, see that? That's a potential for cracking. I gotta make sure that I don't leave any cracks in there that could open up and go across. And if I lose width, okay, have to lose the width. I'm trying to maintain as much width as I can to maintain the strength. Another thing about slabs is you can use the same amount of force basically down the whole edge because it's the same thickness. Yeah, that's one thing about slabs. They're made for people who use consistent pressure or consistent percussion all the way down. So yeah, you can use the same amount of force all the way down. Whereas with random knapping, when it's all random surface, the force changes every time. Yeah. Okay, so I need to do one more pass, I think, to get rid of all the nasty, or most of it. As long as I get rid of 90% of it, we'll be okay. I want to maintain the width. Yeah, so that's solid. And it's natural stone, so it's going to have little defects in it. That's all right. I'm just taking short flakes to get rid of the nasty spot. Ooh, that was longer than I thought. And it's the same amount of force. Yeah, pretty much. All the way down. And if you leave some areas thicker than other areas along the edge, that creates strong spots and weak spots. So those aren't that great, right? It's not great to leave thick spots and alternate thick and thin because it does create weaknesses or areas where it could snap. So even though it's the preliminary stage, I do have to be careful with the way I knap the edge and make sure it's all consistent, so I don't have weak spots. Some people like this type of knapping where you have to be conscious of what you're doing at all times and conscious of how the edge looks at all times during all stages. It's not my favorite type of knapping. No. I like to be able to pace myself during the initial stages and not worry too much about how it looks. And I'll just fix it later. I am using more inward force down here. Just so I can get proportionately longer flakes down here. And then as I go up, the flakes are smaller and shorter and more narrow. It helps with the symmetry, or it helps with, what does it help with? The aesthetics? It just looks better with bigger flakes down here than it does up here. Right? I don't know. Okay, so I got rid of most of the nasty spots, although there's some right in there. Figures is like almost in the middle. There's still areas that are not that great as far as consistency. It's still a little bit chalky, but it's all right. I'm going to take off this square edge now. Yeah. Okay. I work my way down. Oops. I crunched it. That's better. Yeah, this is much more cooperative here on this side as far as the material quality. You able to see what I'm doing? Some call this zigzagging, some call this stitching. I usually call it zigzagging. It doesn't require any abrading. Although you can. I didn't lose much at all as far as width goes or thickness. I just got rid of the square edge. You can nap off a square edge. Some guys like it for pressure flaking. They'll nap right off that square edge. But I never do. No, no. I don't like it. All right, so we got a little bit of symmetry going on now. So from here on in, it's just a matter of doing subsequent passes, a series of passes to get it fully flaked. I'm going to switch down to a smaller diameter. See how that works, especially on the tip. And yeah, use it a little bit more pointy so I can run in some longer flakes with not using more force. If you concentrate the force in a small area, you can run long flakes without having to hit the flaker very hard. And obviously that helps when it's delicate like this, because it's still too thin. I mean, it's still too thin in the middle, yeah. Still too thin in the middle. So there's been a mindset change, right? I didn't mention that. This is a different mindset than what I was just doing. Okay, so I should clean this up and signify that this is a whole different mindset now. Switching to a smaller diameter flaker, looking at driving these flakes further with more inward force. This is a whole different mindset now. All right, if you don't change your mindset, if you're still in the short flake mindset, you're going to end up with a fat, not thinned piece. You have to switch to now thinning. Okay? That was the easy part. Now comes the hard part. The easy part was getting all the square edge off and getting all that nasty stuff off. That was the easy part. Okay. So I'm going to be thinning. I'll be driving flakes inward. And the first third is different than the bottom 2/3 as far as thinning goes. There's a different mindset, not only because I've switched over to thinning, but thinning the tip is different from thinning the body. And I'll try to get into that later or more often as I make more videos to the distinction between these two. I've had problems myself with the distinction between the tip and the body as far as flaking goes. But now that I've thought about it a lot, I can probably explain better what I'm doing and explain that there is a different mindset there as well. There's a mindset within a mindset. Yeah. So I'm generally thinning, but the thinning on the tip is different from the thinning on the body. Okay. All right, so a little bit too much force there, or, you know, I took a bite out of it, which isn't too bad because, you know, it looks like I'm going to have to lose length again to get symmetry, but I just want to thin it down for now. Are we able to see the flaking or no? Is the lighting messing us up? So I'm trying to drive flakes inward. Yeah, like that. And this is right at center line, which is okay. Well, because I need to take flakes off of both sides. Now I could pressure flake it and move the edge this way to run flakes more easily. And then do the same on the other side. I'm still thinking about that. What I'm doing is I'm hitting the low spots on the edge. All these low spots are good for hitting. You can hit the higher spots too, but the lower spots are more conducive to longer flakes, as long as they're not too low. And they're not too low right now. So hit a low spot, and if it's not working, that one did not go anywhere. If it's not working, then I'll move the edge closer. Sometimes I can get away with it. Might not be able to this time. I gotta make sure I maintain that taper. Yeah. So I'm going back and forth as I'm looking at it and making sure I maintain that taper as I work my way down. And I'll check the chat in a minute. I see that there's a lot of chat moving. But I need to focus on this particular aspect because I've always had trouble with this aspect. The upper third of the tip is one of my difficult areas. More difficult than everything else. For me, anyway. I'm looking at symmetry. I know I've got to lose some off of this side, but I'm just planning for symmetry. So I took some off the tip. Yeah. All right. So I will. The percussion is not doing that well on the tip. So I am going to try to be a little more accurate with the pressure flaker. It's kind of chalky up here as well. See, it is kind of chalky up in this area. What that means is the edge will crush if it's chalky. So it presents a problem. All right, let's see. Not too bad though. Mostly downward pressure up here at the tip, right? I got to remember that. I tend to want to drive in flakes right when I'm at the tip, but it's just downward there, and then I can start driving in further as I go down more. So it's pretty quiet, right, when I'm doing this. I gotta focus. Hold on. I probably shouldn't be doing this delicate stuff yet, because I could break the tip off by accident. But I just wanted to get that fairly well done so that I can move on. It was bugging me. Still bugging me a little bit. Yeah, it's crunchy right there. So, need to be a little more aggressive when I want to remove that, which is not that great. I don't want to be that aggressive up here near the tip, but I don't have a choice. All right, so that's good enough. It's still going to be a little crunchy when I come back to it later, but I'm just going to leave that there and deal with that a little bit later. Okay, so I got rid of what was bugging me at the tip. Now I'm just going to continue down the blade. Okay. But again, this upper third is a different mindset than the rest of the blade, including the very tip, you know. It's the same kind of persnickety type stuff up here. Let's see, how much did I lose? It's now 4 5/8, so I think I lost about 1/8 of an inch or more. I don't know. I forgot what the last measurement was. Inward flake. And it's thinning as long as it goes more than halfway. I gotta watch I don't take too much off of this side. So I'm gonna run. What I'm gonna do is I am gonna pressure flake this edge and move it. That way I can run all my thinning flakes, or maybe most of them, from this side. I don't want to be running too many thinning flakes from this side for obvious reasons. It's already taken back a lot. So to preserve width and the symmetry, I'm going to be hitting mainly from this side. In order to drive flakes that far, I need to move the edge a little bit more. And yeah, I'll do this side first. Doesn't matter really. It looks like they're both the same as far as quality goes. What I mean by that is you want to end up flaking the best side last. This looks like the best side, but you know, it doesn't matter. This looks pretty good too. So you run flakes across the cruddy side first, and then leave the best side for last, because sometimes it'll get really thin, and you don't want to be struggling with the bad side when it's really thin. You want to be flaking on a good side when it's really thin. Okay? That's the strategy there. If you can tell, sometimes you can't tell, so then you just got to live with what you get. It doesn't need to be moved that way very much. Well, it depends on the material. We'll see. It's just short flakes, almost like a bevel. And do I do this every time I nap these slabs? No, I'm giving you like a more methodical way of doing it. I'm usually more random than this. This is just a more methodical way of doing it. As far as thinning, taking off this surface. If you watch my other videos, I will just attack it at random instead of being this methodical about it. Let's see if I can remove a long flake now. I'm using a lot of force actually. All right, but it's thin now on the ends pretty much, so I don't have to worry about using a lot of force. As long as I don't scoop it too much. That scooped it quite a bit. That's a little bit much. Yeah. I can't be doing that the whole time. Okay. So a little flake and then a bigger flake. No, that didn't work that well. So I'm just going to do it at random. So basically what that was is 2 small flakes and a big flake. But whatever works, I don't know. Okay, it's starting to look like a normal rock now. So there's 2 lumps. That's okay. I could take them down a little bit. Yeah. There's a weak spot in the middle. Between 2 lumps, that's why I mentioned it. There's 2 lumps here. It's weak there in the middle. It can also get weak right here if there's another big scoop out. This wasn't too bad. This one was a worse scoop out than that one. But yeah, these can present weak spots it'll crack right across there. Not only because there's little cracks in here, but because it's thinner. So I'm going to take down these high spots. It'll distribute the strength a little more evenly. And you can't predict the endings of the flakes, so they could do that. They could step fracture. Oh well. So now it looks more even. Yeah. Step fractures, they usually bug me, so if I can get rid of that, be better. So I don't have to be looking at those. So basically that's what I'm going to do on the other side as well. Yeah. Let's get rid of this area. And yeah, this is still the 5/16 inch diameter. I can still get wide flakes even with the small tip. Okay. Usually to get wide flakes, I use the other flaker, the 3/8 inch. But it's not necessary. You can do the same flakes with different tools. Well, that didn't reach. The hardest part is right there. Well, I don't know if it is for everybody, but I think it's the hardest part of the whole piece to get right. This right in the center mass. All right, before I continue, I'm going to check the chat. I think I've been napping for like 45 minutes straight. So that's what it looks like so far. There's still a little bit right there on the original surface, but that's easy. Relatively speaking, it's pretty easy to get out. There's a bunch of people in the chat. There's a bunch of people watching. So when I switch over to check the chat, I'm going to lose those guys, but it's their loss because they're going to miss the hardest parts of this whole process. Yeah, they're not going to see how I do the hardest part of the whole process. All right, let's check the chat. Let's see. What kind of rock is it? It's a heat treat. It's Alabama Coastal Plains. Alabama Coastal Plains heat treat. Okay, it's not a glossy Coastal Plains heat treat. It's a dull, chalky kind of Coastal Plains heat treat. Yeah. There's different kinds of Coastal Plains chert. This is not translucent either. This is not like Flint River from Georgia, which is also a Coastal Plains chert. This is a more chalky version. It's not floor tile, although it looks like floor tile. Logical Apostate, hello. Someone let me know what he's napping. Apologies in advance. Yeah, don't worry about it. Daryl, I'm in Tuscarora. Just get some trade metal. I don't know what that means. Let's see. Jim Main says, what did I miss? I've been splitting firewood. Yeah. You missed all the good stuff. And I'm going to keep saying this over and over again. A lot of guys are going to get mad at me eventually. It doesn't matter what this is called, as long as it naps. People want to know, what is it that I'm napping? Don't worry about it, as long as it naps. Now, if you want to know something specific, like, hey, Jack Crafty, do you know anything about heat treats that I get from blah, blah, blah? I'll answer that kind of question. But just because I'm napping this Coastal Plains chert from Alabama in this way doesn't mean that you're going to get the same result with your rock, because your rock is probably going to be slightly different. Every rock is different. And inevitably someone's going to come up to me on a nap in or whatever, which is okay. It's fine, right? But they'll say, you know,
You napped that coastal plains Alabama stuff, and when I tried it, it just broke into pieces. Yeah, and I had a 1/2 inch thick. You just had 3/8, and you were able to do it, and I couldn't.
yeah, there's two reasons for that. One, you know, maybe you don't have a lot of practice with slabs. And number two, it could be the stone. And if I tell you that it's Alabama coastal plains heat treat to 650 degrees, and you get Alabama coastal plains heat treat and heat it to 650 degrees, and it doesn't nap, you're gonna blame me for not telling you why it's not gonna nap. And I have no idea why yours didn't nap. Okay? All right. And I'm not making fun of you, okay? I'm kind of doing it in a humorous way so it'll stick. It doesn't matter what I'm napping, what it's called. It doesn't matter. Let's see, Faith and Sawdust, how do you get long flakes when you pressure flake? All that it's doing for me is chipping the edge away and not going across the whole arrowhead. And once I start doing it for a while, I get caught in knots. You just had to improve your strength. You're just not strong enough to drive the flakes yet. Are you breaking your points in half with pressure flaking? If you're not snapping them in half, are you snapping them in half with pressure flaking? If you're not strong enough yet. You should be able to snap the whole thing in half with a pressure flake. That's how physically strong you need to be. Okay? If you're not that physically strong enough, you're not strong enough. Now, it could be also that your flaker is not sharp enough. It could be that your metal is bending. It's not strong enough. It could be that the rock you're using is crud rock. No one can chip it. No one can drive flakes on it. No one is able to run long flakes. There's various other factors, but the number one factor is you're not physically strong enough. That's the number one factor. Number two is the rock is really cruddy. If you have both of those, you're not going to get anywhere, no matter what you do. Okay? Again, I'm not making fun of you. It's just the truth. Or I'm not trying to talk down to you. That's the truth. Okay? I had to struggle with that too. Don't worry. Let's see. Ed Gould says, I got a piece of dinner plate size zigzag on the edge. I used to think it was a chopper, but now I think it's just a start. I don't know. Watching from Missouri, says Matt. Hello, hello. Jesse says, I hate napping off a square edge. Too much chance for a stacker. Yeah, that's true. Very clean zigzag. Thank you, thank you. Does it matter where you paint the rod that you're using? I don't know what that means. What material are you making the arrowhead from? It's a heat treat. It's an Alabama coastal heat treat. It doesn't matter how many times I say that the stone doesn't matter. Everyone just still asks. Even when they know that I've said that many times, they still ask me, what type of stone is it? Let's see. So if there's no questions, I'm going to get back to napping here. Let's see. Clint Stoner is leaving. Okay. I'll see you on the next one. Does it matter where you hit the rod? Yeah, it does. There's a sweet spot on the rod, depending on on how you nap, who you are, or whatever. There's going to be a sweet spot. So you'll find that, some guys will hit it up here close to the tip. Some will hit it further back. And, any spot in between. Also, it can vary depending on the stone, the type of stone you're using. Like, if you hit closer to the tip, you're going to impart more force. If you back off a little bit, there's less force on the tip. So if you have really tough stone, you tend to creep up and hit closer to the tip. But otherwise, it doesn't really matter too much. It's going to be this little 2-inch difference here where you're striking, the striking area on the rod. It's not going to change the amount of force very much. But you'll notice that sometimes you'll creep downward or creep upward depending on the stone you're using. Just subconsciously. You won't even be thinking about it. Just you'll figure out that hitting it closer to the tip is actually working better, but you'll do that subconsciously in many cases. Now, your brain should be taking over that. If it isn't, you're thinking about it too much, or you don't have the natural subconscious ability, and you will have to think about where to hit. In that case, you'll notice that it's more force imparted to the tip the closer you get to the tip with the mallet. Okay. Let's see. I'm getting a biface shaped up, says Marty, using the Crafty method of indirect. Awesome. Let's see. Who do you think I am, says, it always is your fault, Jack Crafty. Yeah, I know. It is my fault. I'm doing it. Daryl says, I'm Native American at Tuscarora, part of Six Nations. It was an inside Native American joke. Oh, I see. Where was it? Did I miss it? Let me see. Where is it? Just get some trade metal was an inside joke. Okay, I got you. Daryl says, the closer to 90 degrees, the bigger the chip. The closer to 180, the smaller the chip. Gosh, I wish I knew the answer to that one. I don't understand the question very well. The closer to 90, the bigger the chip. The closer to 180, the smaller the chip. I don't know it. If you go strictly by angles, you're missing the force. The Flintknapping depends on vectors. Vectors have two parts: the force and the direction of the force. You're missing the amount of force when you're talking only about angles. It matters a lot. You have to talk about both together. When you're talking about long and short flakes, you have to include the force along with the angle. If I just tell you yes, no, I would be wrong because of the fact that it also varies with the amount of force. You can hit in a weird way with a lot of force and get a big flake. And I say weird because it doesn't seem like it would work, but sometimes you can compensate by just using more force, or back off with the force and compensate with a better angle. Okay, so there's two components. So I don't like talking about those components separately. For when we're talking about long and short flakes and how to generate long flakes and short flakes. Okay. So here we go. We're going to flip over to the other side and do the other side. All right, and everybody that left is going to miss it because this is the hardest part. I'm going to even it up a little bit. I'm going to pressure flake it and move the edge that way and run a bunch of flakes across. And I'm going to risk breaking the whole thing in half. And you'll see it live on TV. Live on TV. So I'm just making it nice and even. Okay, so that helps distribute the strength of the piece evenly. If I have thick spots and thin spots, it could snap across a thin spot. So make it nice and even before you do anything risky. And yeah, I'm not going to be napping too much off of this side, but just in case, I'll make both sides nice and even, just in case I had to do damage control, for example. But I'm not going to pressure flake this side this way. I'm going to be hitting mainly off of this side because this is the side that has the most width that I can lose. I can lose width off of this side. All right, okay. Now on these slabs, some of these slabs that you'll buy are preformed. They already have this shape. You don't have to worry about the strategy of which side I'm going to hit from, etc., etc. You just start going to town right away from any side. Doesn't matter. But in this case, it was kind of lopsided. The slab was not perfectly formed. Okay, so here we go. And it doesn't really matter how sharp this is, although this one is pretty sharp. Let me get a duller flaker. Yeah, just so you won't get confused. I don't need to use a sharp flaker for this. These are just short flakes, and I'm creating almost like a bevel. Looks like we lost. The feed was choppy. Anyway, I'm knapping this like it was a bevel, okay? And that helps to set up the flakes to drive across. And you can leave the beveled edge look to it later. On the slab, especially. What you can do is you can initially remove the face with pressure flakes, and then you can bevel it to get the edge sharpened. That's another. I might do that on another video. This is not the only way to attack this situation. You're going to get a different look to it in the end, but there's more than one way to do this. As far as removing the original slab surface, you don't have to do it like I'm doing it in this video. And I don't always do it this way either. I'm doing it this way because it's going to be not beveled. These edges that I'm going to be sharpening are not going to be sharpened with a bevel. They're just going to be bifacially sharpened. I don't know if you know what that means. For the new guys. I'm going to bifacially sharpen this. Alright, so let's start attacking the surface that needs to be skinned off. Yeah, okay. I do need to remove some. I need to remove some off of this. It's too thick right there. Yeah. A little bit too thick. I'm going to be losing thickness off of this side. And it'll look lopsided. So I need to get rid of some of this on this side. You'll see. I'm thinking a little bit ahead here, so it'll look good. Right? Yeah. There's too much mass on this side. Let's see. All right, that's a little bit better. Let's see. I can start now. So what worked earlier was 2 little flakes and then 1 big flake. So let's do 2 little flakes and then a big flake. It was okay. Let's just do it randomly. Yeah. That was lucky that it fanned out enough to get that. And I could put this right up against a step fracture and hit that. Some people They don't realize you can do that. Oh, that almost reached. The hardest part of a flake to predict is the ending of the flake. Unfortunately. It'd be great if that was the easiest. It'd make Flintknapping so much more enjoyable. If you could predict the endings of the flake. In most cases. But you can't. I'm just living with what I get. Yeah, just hit and hope. And I found out that that's also a term in golfing or bowling. Was it golfing or bowling? I think golfing. You hit and hope. Yeah, I shouldn't be hitting it like that. If I hit if I hit directly on the base, it can snap. It's getting thinner and thinner with each pass. I might be able to get it from here. Yes. So I hit and hope it works. So I still have some original surface there. It's taken me many years to be able to do this. So this is something I can't really teach beginners. I can just show you how it's done. But you'll need to practice and practice to get flakes to remove like that. And that I was talking the other day about these little pushes at the ends of the flakes. Heat treat is known. Well, I noticed that with heat treats. It pushes the end a little bit further. You got to watch out for those because sometimes they'll dive in, sometimes they'll follow a ridge and take off some of the other side. But that one was okay. That was a hard hit, and sometimes it'll push an extra bit, a little bit too far. Anyways, just so you know, you can't always just go to town and hit really, really hard, especially with heat treats.
Yeah, it's just what I wanted to know. Great. Another little obstacle. Another little headache.
Yeah, I know. Heat treat's supposed to be awesome and fantastic and wonderfully good. But there's little trade-offs that you have to deal with. Some people might think that extra push at the end of the flakes are good. But I've run into so many overshots that way that I just have to mention it as one of those things that's hazardous that you have to deal with. Anyways, let's start the final thinning. It looks like a rock now. Yeah, I don't think I have any original surface on it, so it looks like a rock, a regular rock. Yeah, that's good. What time is it? I'm gonna finish this out. Yeah, however long it takes. Or should I start on the Onondaga? Let me just thin this out a little bit more, and then I'll do the Onondaga. Or the Onion Daga. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to need to pressure flake this edge to go that way. Yeah. Somebody once asked me, how do I maintain the look of these bold flakes? Well, you can't nap it too much or it'll get rid of the bold look. It'll look like this with a lot of, chippings. So the way you do that is you wait till the very end to remove these big flakes and don't sharpen it like they did back in the day. They only sharpen the upper third in many cases, and they leave these big bold flakes in the base, and they didn't sharpen them after they remove the flakes. And that's how you retain the bold look. You don't sharpen it. Or, you know, you're going to get something like this if you do. I had bold flakes here earlier, but they kind of go away when you sharpen it. See the difference between the shadows? The way that you keep those in there is you don't sharpen it. And you sharpen the top part. Yeah. Okay? All right. But I am going to sharpen it. So you're going to say goodbye to those. Say your goodbyes. And this is not the sharpening stage. It's moving it this way so I can remove more of the surface because it's still a bit too... I still have original surface of this slab here. So I'm going to... Well, I don't need to dry flakes. Well, there is still some lumps that I want to get rid of. Yes? Let me think about this. Let's just get rid of that first. Yeah. Hold on a second. So my angle of attack, or my plan A is like through here to get rid of that. And then plan B is down here. Yeah, I'm gonna strike all along that edge. I'm going to strike all along this edge that way. This edge actually looks pretty good. But this one looks, I guess, got too many fat spots. I think that was the edge I did not touch because it had the original chalky areas. Was this the original chalky side? I think it might have been, yes. I think that's why it looks like it's not napped enough. Hold on. So what I'm going to do is, not only am I going to remove that remaining bit, but I'm going to nap this whole edge and send in flakes from the whole edge. Because it looks like it has not been napped enough. You know what I mean? Yeah, I think this was the original chalky side. It feels like it anyway. And this is very soft copper. It's not hard. It's not hardened. Okay. Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. Great, great. Fantastic, fantastic. It is the chalky side. It grinds down way too easily, so it's still a little bit chalky. But I'm going to run a series of flakes down here. And it'll be mostly random. If it looks like it's a parallel flaking or whatever, it's not. It might look that way, but no. We'll see how easily I can do this. Keep in mind, this is still the hardest part of the whole process, this final thinning stuff. It might look like I'm winding down or it's easy. I'm still in the most difficult stage of the piece. And it is chalky right there, so I have to be a little bit more aggressive on the chalky spots, or it's not going to flake well. So I'm biting into the edge a little bit more than I should, just so I can blast through the chalky areas. Yikes. See, it's crushing on the chalky areas. Yeah, one solution is grinding it down more, but then it also makes it a little bit too difficult to drive a flake, and I had to use more force, which could cause it to snap in half. So you gotta use a little bit of finesse to get to that sweet spot between grinding too much and not grinding enough. There's one more thing to worry about. It's still too crunchy. All right, we'll deal with that later. Yikes. See what? See, I hit that a little bit too hard because it wasn't working very much here. So I was thinking probably I need to hit harder, and I hit a little bit too hard. It's inconsistent. That's the mortal enemy of the flint napper is the inconsistent material, because you don't know how hard you need to hit. It might work in one spot and not at the other. And that's it. That's the last of it. Right? Right. Yes? Yes. Yeah. So can I go thinner than this? We'll see. We shall see. I don't know. I don't want to. I can see those spots that it might be easy to go thinner, or easier than other spots on here. There's a few spots I think I can remove a flake and then get it thinner, but then I'll stop. Call it good. Yikes. See, as it gets thinner, the edge gets thinner as well. It's not just the body of it, but the edge gets thinner, and it has a tendency to crush or break or get all crackly. Start reaching the end of my ability as far as thinning goes. If it starts to step fracture too much, that means I'm reaching the limits of my ability. Yeah. So there you go. I think that's good. Yeah. What time is it? Yep, it's time for me to end the live stream, but I'm going to put some notches, I think, in this. Sharpen it and put some notches in it. Oh no, I got to do the Onondaga. Dang it. I still want to do some of that Onondaga. Get rid of the turtleback. So I'm going to do that. Hold on. I need to repair this edge a little bit. No, let's see. If I do that, I will break it. I was going to try to repair, where is the crunchy spot? Somewhere in here, there's a crunchy spot right in the middle. Somewhere. I was going to try to repair that, but no. Okay. Let's see. Let me pressure flake the base here, and then we'll be done for now. I'm just thinning this down now, or flaking it so it looks a little bit better. Not necessarily thinning it. That's not working. Let's see. Come on. There's some crunchiness down in here. See that? There's a line or something. A line of crunchy material. That's okay. I got rid of it. Come on. All right. No. There's always that little booger. Why? Why is there always that little booger? And just when I cannot find my spatula tool, where'd it go? Alright. I try to keep my stuff in a separate box. Okay, here it is. Way on the other side. I can get in there with a spatula tool and pop that out. Hopefully. I'm gonna hold it like this. There's a lot of pressure going in there. I don't want to touch that tip very much because I can snap the whole thing in half with the amount of pressure I'm going to use on this. No. Okay. A little bit better. So I took a couple of pressure flakes. That's good enough. Yeah. So that's good enough for that. I'm going to be knapping the Onondaga so I can get rid of the turtlebacks on that. But all this needs now is the sharpening and the notching. Different mindset. But it's not as difficult as that last stage. This last stage is the most difficult of all the flint knapping so far on that slab. Okay, so the final measurement. Let's see, where is it? 4.5. It was 4 3/4 earlier at some point. 1.5 inches. The ratio on this one The whitest part is right there. Let's go a little bit above. It's not quite 40. Let's just say 38. And the width, 7. How many millimeters is that? 6 or 7. Let's just call it 6. So that's 6-1. Good enough. I lost a bunch of people. 100 people dropped off. They don't want to know the ratio. Interesting. People are not interested in ratios. Okay. All right, Onondaga. I guess we're not interested in the turtleback removal either. How do I remove the turtlebacks? With lots of pain and suffering? Almost. It depends. This is a totally different material than the heat treat. So there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve with this. Some people will think, that's not a problem, dude. You can make the transition between totally different materials. You know, totally different. Easy peasy. I wish. I thought you used the Flintknapper. Yeah, I still have trouble with the transitions though. It's not as easy as it looks. If it looks easy, it's not as easy as it looks. I have to switch over to being a lot more aggressive and to hit in a different way. Yeah, to make sure not make sure. I gotta stop using the words make sure, because there's no make sure in knapping. But I have to hit much harder. Yes. To get the results I need. And be more reckless than what I was being before. And I'm just picking at it now to try to get used to it before I tackle the main turtleback area. We got some crackage going on at the tip, of course. Oh dang, my shop door just blew open. Great. Hold on, let me close my shop door. I didn't realize I hadn't locked it. Oh. Yes. It would drop 20 degrees in like 2 minutes if I don't close the shop door. Okay. It's single digits outside, I think. All right, where am I? Where was it? And yeah, I can use a bopper to remove the turtlebacks if I was more coordinated. I can do it on a larger piece. If it was larger, I could probably get rid of the turtleback by using a bopper. I am going to hit from the tip. Oh, yes. Lose some length. Oh, well. Let's see. Oh, didn't do it. It kind of skimmed over the top. It didn't smash its way through. It skimmed. Well, I guess we gotta hit it harder. Yes? Well, I don't know. I don't know. It could have been a fluke that it didn't go and smash through it. Let's see. It scooped it kind of in the beginning. I guess it was a good strike. Because if I had hit it harder, it might have scooped out more in the beginning. Yeah. All right. I'm going to hit from the tip one more time. From the tip. All right, see. Let's see. No. I deposited some copper though. See the copper? No, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Let's see. Not too bad. Not too bad. Why am I hitting from the tip when I know I'm going to lose length? I don't think I'll be able to get it from the side. That's why. I don't think the side hits are gonna do it. From experience, that's all. It might have done it from the side, but from experience, it didn't look that great. I still got a bunch left. Don't worry. I might hit it from the side from now on. It just depends on how it looks. Let me shave some of this off to make it more symmetrical. And we'll see what we have left. We'll just hit opportunistically at first, and then if that doesn't fully take care of it, I'll set up some areas to strike. And these small ones are difficult to un-turtleback. The larger ones are easier, believe it or not, because you can hit it with direct percussion. It's still sharp, even though it looks dull, it's still pretty sharp. I just brushed my finger against it, that's it. Onondaga is sharp, yes. Let me see, where are we? Trim, trim, trim. Trim and do some hard hits once in a while. I forgot to check the chat, didn't I? Hold on. If I check the chat, it messes with my mojo. Yeah. Trying to get rid of turtleback. I gotta whittle it. Whittle, little by little. Oh, that didn't work at all. Such a perfect area to hit and nothing happens. Story of my life. Story of my Flintknapping life. Okay, did it do it? I think we're getting there. Yeah, we're getting there. It's making me giggly because I think it's gonna do it. Okay. I'm hitting it so hard it's making my stomach feel weird. Yeah. Because I was just napping on a very delicate piece. Slamming these flakes across there is a whole different ball game. Okay, where is it? So it looks like this is a solid piece. No major internal defects. There's a little crack up here though. It has some concretey and crystal pockety type areas. Yeah. All right, so let's try to finish getting rid of the thick spots. Still some thick spots on here. No, not like that. Actually, this flakes well. In the areas that don't have the concrete, it flakes very well. It does not nap as well as the other stuff. Let's see. Esopus. It doesn't nap as well as Esopus in my experience, the Onondaga, but it still naps okay. Yeah. Or Esopus. Yeah, it's just a matter of beating it to death. Literally beating the crap out of it. That didn't work. Yes? Is it good enough? I'm starting to get into the hard part. So I think the easy part's over. Yeah. All right, so I did the easy part. Now it's going to be harder to get this more thin than this. It's already starting to get crunchy and steppy. So that's good enough. What time is it? 4:15? That's not too late. Shall we reduce? No, I need to check the chat. I was going to start reducing the obsidian a little bit. What did I miss? Oops. What did I miss? Sal, Sal's not going to be live tonight. Hey, Wilderness Quest Outdoors. Getting flakes to run like that even on the best Onondaga is hard, just so you guys know. Thanks, Jay. Somebody who knows. Somebody who's been through the misery. Jim Cooper's here. Hey, Patrick, did you ever figure out how you were going to ship that other rock you said? Yeah, I got it in a box already. I'm going to ship it soon. I'm in a financial crunch right now, to be honest. I had to bail out my daughter with her car repairs. But yeah, I'm going to send it soon. I've already got it in a box. It's in a medium flat rate. He does that Pawnee Herman voice. Pee Wee Herman voice, really good. Yeah, I try. Let's see. Is everybody getting prepared for this big snowstorm, says Jeremy? Snowstorm of the century? Yeah, they had a snowstorm of the century over in Russia. Did you see that? It's not going to be that bad here. Let's see. Jeremy said, I know I learned a new trick. If you're trying to thin the end or the tip, hit across instead of it up down the piece. Yeah. What's the tool you used at the bottom called? I don't know. I'm using indirect percussion flakers and boppers and stuff. I don't know. Ed says, I don't want Greenland or Mexico, Venezuela, but okay, talking about geopolitics. Hey, Dawkinstein is here. Let's see. What else did I miss? All right, so let's see. I think let's see. Sal says, I hate working on something so long and then say it's okay when it's probably really good. Yeah, I hate working on something and then say it's really good and then take one or two more flakes and break it. Yeah, that's what I hate. Daryl says, have you ever been cut really badly on a stone? No, not really badly. Cross my fingers. Knock on wood. Hope you didn't just jinx me. Hope you didn't just jinx me, my dude. But no, I have not. Steve says it's snowing in Altoona, Pennsylvania. 3 to 5 inches tonight and 12 inches projected on Sunday. We're projected to get some here in Vermont, but not that much. Yeah, you guys further south of us are going to get hit. Let's see. XCap says I love the inception thing you have going on. Yeah, I get that a lot. I don't know. Some people like it. Some people get freaked out. I like it too because it proves infinity. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, so I am going to nap a little bit longer because I want to see how this snaps with the indirect percussion. I'm going to thin this down too, okay? So that way, at least I'll have three items done that I said I was going to have done. Or at least thin down, right? Yeah. And this does require some abrading when I use the indirect percussion. This indirect percussion rod. It's just a simple copper rod. It's also called a horizontal punch or a supported horizontal punch. Whichever you want to use. There's different terms for this stuff. I got to see what the archaeologists are calling the indirect percussion rods these days. If they're using my terminology when I started using it was supported horizontal punch. That's what I call it. If I wanted to speak like an archaeologist, I'd call it a supported horizontal punch because there are also unsupported horizontal punches. And I'm not talking about supported by data. I'm talking about supported on the back side. Because there's horizontal punches that are free of support on this side, except maybe just sitting on top of something. And you can hit it horizontally, but you don't need any kind of support. You can just do this and hit it. As an example, that's an unsupported horizontal punch, or you can set it up to where you've got a situation like this where you back the end up against something here and then back this up against something and form a little triangle, I guess, and then hit it this way and it falls away. This punch falls away. You got to pick it up and bring it back up and hit it again. And it falls away again. That's an unsupported horizontal punch, the one that falls away or one that doesn't stay put. But mine is a supported horizontal punch because it stays put in one spot. It's supported. Okay. All right, so here we go. We're going to try to thin this fast. Yes, we're just going to go to town on it, as I like to say. Different amounts of force with each strike depending on what I want. Slightly different angles depending on what I want. It's not all the same angles. It's not all the same forces. And the flakes are not expected to be all the same either. Okay? It's just a matter of removing lumps where I see lumps. And that's it until it gets thin. Yep. And I don't have to think about it too much. Because it's obsidian. It naps so easily. Relatively speaking. Yeah. The only problem I have to watch out for is this kind of stuff. The step fracturing, the diving. Okay, all right. I already did this side. Now I'm going to scrape the edge to move it the other way. And I don't need to use pressure on this edge. I can scrape it to move it. Hold on, I forgot this area. I can scrape the edge with the abrader and remove a lot of the edge that way instead of having to pressure flake it. I missed some spots. Hold on. Yeah, it's not flat enough. Hold on. Before I do this side, I need to flatten this side a little bit more, but not perfectly flat. It just needs to be flatter because it looks a little bit too turtlebackish. Yeah, like that. It's like this. So it has to be convex, but not too convex. Mahogany obsidian likes to dive in, so it has to have a good amount of convexity, just not too much convexity, or it won't look thin. Of course, these don't have to be thin, but everyone wants to know how to thin down stuff, so that's why I make them thin. Mahogany doesn't need to be thin in order to cut and to be effective, because the edges are so sharp, it compensates for the thickness. And if you look at obsidian artifacts, many of them are thick. When I went down to Mexico, I saw a bunch of obsidian artifacts, and 90% of them were thick, like this. This thick. So they wouldn't break. All right, so here we go. The other side. I'm going to thin down the other side, or flatten it. In the process of flattening the other side, it gets thinner. Little flakes, combination of little flakes and big flakes, wherever it needs it. And since it's so easy to flint knap, relatively speaking, I can go a little bit faster and not worry too much about strategy. Yikes. It's a little bit crunchy right there. All right, ready? Hard hit. Make sure, or not make sure, but hope it doesn't overshoot. I wish I could make sure that it doesn't overshoot. But it's basically hit and hope. A lot of these hits can snap it in half by the amount of force if it's not directed properly. I like it. Yeah, it feels like an alien material, and it feels kind of like it's plasticky. I still like it. Let's see. Okay. It almost felt like it overshot. I don't want it to overshoot. No. Absolutely not. I want it to go a little bit past halfway. That's it. I don't need it to go any more than past halfway. It gets flat and thin enough, just going to a little bit past halfway. I don't need to dry the flakes any further than that. And it's starting to dive into the middle already, so scooped it out too much. See that? I scooped it a little bit too much. I'm getting too greedy. Somebody's texting me during the live stream. He doesn't know I'm doing a live stream. It's one of my subscribers. My buddy. One of my friends. I say subscribers when I mean friends. One of my friends who also happens to be a subscriber is texting me. You don't know. You gotta watch your notifications, dude. It's still not right. I'll get you thin down. Don't worry. I gotta take that. I gotta remove that scoop, or I have to nap around that scoop so it goes away. Not like that. See, if I take more mass off of this side, it reduces the look of that scoop out. But I'm going to lose some off the tip, just incidentally. I don't want to lose material off the tip, but I think it's just going to happen because of sculpting it to get rid of that scoop out area, or to minimize it. I should reduce the width on this anyway. It's too round. I was thinking to myself, it's going to reduce a lot of the width, but I need to reduce width anyways. I scooped it out a little bit, right? But I think it's getting better. I still scooped out a little bit. Let me see. Oh, almost got it. I'm trying to meet up with that area, but it didn't quite meet up with that area. So there's a little land bridge in there. That's what I call a land bridge. When these two step fractures almost meet each other, that's a land bridge. I'm just going to leave it. Just leave it for now. Reduce the width and then flatten the other side. Continue to thin it until I think it's good. It's already... See, the reason why there's a land bridge is it's too wide. It's too wide. I should have taken it down earlier. But it's so tempting to leave it wide because it flakes so easily. You just can't get past the diving, though. The diving will get you. The sweet sound of flakes tumbling onto the floor. There it goes. Ah, come on. You don't have to step fracture. You know you don't have to step fracture like that. It knows it doesn't have to do that. It's not necessary. Where are we going? We're getting there. We're almost there yet. This is the hardest part, okay? So just hold on. Trying to thin down a thin piece is always the hardest part. It's already relatively thin. I'm trying to thin it down more. And yeah, I lost a lot of width and stuff, but it goes with the territory. If I'm not able to drive these flakes all the way easily, or relatively easily, then I got to reduce the width. The edges are getting thinner and weaker, so I have to spend more time grinding it. Okay. In case you're wondering. So this is probably going to be the final pass. Yeah, and then I'll say, it's good. That's not going to do. I ground it down too much. Hold on. All right, let's see. I was going to trim the tip, but I ground it down too much up there. Did it. Almost did it. Come on. There you go. Thinning flakes. Thinning flakes. It can do it. It can do it. It wants to be stubborn, but it can do it. I think I'm going to call it good. Before I say, one more flake and that's it, and then snap. We got the viewership up again. What is it? It's obsidian. I think people can recognize this as obsidian right away. Right? I think I'm going to call it good right there, because if I go any further, it'll be a bummer if I snap it on video.
Yeah, dude says he's gonna stop and he keeps going. Dude, bruh. Dude, bruh.
Sue me. I want to go further. Hold on. Yeah. Talk to the manager. We're getting into some dicey territory. Dang it. Why didn't it go where it's supposed to? Okay. Almost. I'm getting messages. You're not supposed to interrupt me when I'm trying to be in the zone. That's good enough. Yep. All right, so that's it. Good enough. I like it. I don't want it too thin because it will snap. It doesn't need to be that thin anyway with obsidian. It sharpens up well. So we did. I'm happy I got 3 of them done for this live stream. Yeah, I'm very happy about that. You can barely see this one. You can barely see the Onondaga because of the background. Yeah. See if I can use that as the thumbnail for the highlight. Right? Yeah. All right. I'm blocking the on-air sign. So I'm going to check the chat. We've got 3 by faces. Yay. All different, very different materials. These do not nap the same. They don't feel the same. They're quite different from each other. Yeah. Okay. So there was a learning curve with each one. But, you know, as you gain experience, that becomes easier. Some guys want to do this when they're brand new because they get bored of one material and they go to something else, or they want to do different materials like I just did in one day. I used to try to do that because I would get bored easily. It's not easy to make the transition from one material to the next, and you may just make yourself miserable without any kind of reason for doing it. Yeah, not a smart reason anyway. Okay, so let's see. Sal says, "Hey Patrick, I hope that the saran wrap comes in handy for you and enjoy the rucks." Yes, thank you, thank you. It will come in handy because I'm going to use those first. I've got some other wraps, but I'm going to put those aside and I'm going to use these first. Yeah, it makes it a lot easier when it's already the correct width or close to it. Yep, yes, yes. All right, so I'm gonna call it a night. My next live stream is Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern time, and it's Natural Tool Friday. I'll be napping a lot of slabs on Wednesdays, so I'm going to start calling it Slabs and Spalls Wednesdays. And Fridays are Natural Tools, and Mondays I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to be doing on Mondays, if anything regular. Let me see. What can I do on Mondays that I don't know. Maybe you can suggest what you want to see on Mondays. Devin says, "I love the live stream." Thank you, thank you. Scott Phillips says, "Hi." You said hi at the very end, dude. I'm leaving. Okay. What else is going on here? What's the results going to look like? Have you already done one? Yeah, I've done them. I've done them. Where is it? If you look at my auctions, that's what they look like when they're finished. I have auctions on my channel. I don't have any finished ones right now because the ones that I finish, I always sell. I did this one yesterday. This is a knife blade, modern knife blade. It doesn't look too much different than the stuff I did, right? But if you look back here, they look like this a lot of times when they're done. The goal is for them to look like this. You know, various different point styles. I mean, what's the difference? I did this one in the last live stream or something. I mean, there's not much difference between what they look like on the live stream if it's just a biface and something with notches. They don't look that much different. In this case, anyway. But it's a good question for the new guys. What's it supposed to look like? It could be almost anything. There's lots of variations. Let's see. Charles says, "Late, but I watch and I like it." Yes, yes. Hit the like button, even if you come in at the last minute. Good idea. Marble Mondays, said Sean. See you Friday night, says Keith. Can you do a knife slab of that red glass on Friday? I could, but I'm gonna do I'll do one of those slabs on Wednesday, a week from today. One of those red glass slabs, right? Yeah. I'll save that for Wednesday. See, I have red glass from Keith. I'm gonna do that on Wednesday as part of Slab Wednesday. Spalls and slabs on Wednesdays. Maybe I'll do Rock the Point Mondays. How's that? Rock the Point Mondays, slabs and spalls Wednesday, and natural tool Fridays. Yeah. I'm going to go take a nap. Yes, I've been napping for 2.5 hours. Yeah, I've been napping for 2.5 hours, which is pretty typical, I guess. I try not to nap for more than 2 hours at a time. That way it doesn't burn me out. But, you know, I'll do 2 or 3 napping sessions a day on my busy days. Jeremy says, it sure seems like you'd get more use out of a thicker point than you would a thin point. Depends on how well you can sharpen it. If you're not good at sharpening, you're going to get more out of a thin point because it stays. Even if the thin point gets dull, you can still cut with it because it's thin. If a thick point gets dull, it's not going to cut worth a crap. It depends on how well you can sharpen. If you can sharpen, then yes, a thick point or a bigger point is going to be a lot more useful. And there's two things about sharpening. One is your skill in sharpening, and two, the material. If the material does not sharpen well, might as well get a thin flake of that material. It'll last you longer, or it'll be better than a thick or big piece of something that does not sharpen well. That's just my opinion. Yep. Everybody's got one. And I have mine, yes. Whether they're good or not, I don't know. That stone is absolutely stunning, says Daryl. I don't know which one. Anyways. Okay, Slab Wednesday. Yep, I'll do that on Slab on Wednesday. The red glass. All right, I'm looking for questions. If there's no more questions, I'll call it a night. I think that's it. Thank you for the super chats. It's good to see everybody. Yeah, it's always fun to see everybody back in the house, in the chats. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of new guys. If you have questions on where to get rocks, like where do you get tools or where do you get rocks, you can ask me anywhere on my channel. I'll look at all the comments. I look at all the comments on my channel. So even if you did not comment during the live stream, if you're new, you can ask questions in the regular comment sections, and I will answer to the best of my ability. Where do you get stones? Where do you buy them from or find them? I don't tell you exactly where to find stuff, because if I did, they wouldn't last. But I can give you kind of an idea of what states actually have stones, that kind of thing. But it's best for you to go to a Knapping if you want to know the best place to find rocks, because either you can get stuff at a discount, sometimes you get flakes for free. But if you do end up buying some stones at a Knapping that are high priced, at least you get to see them before you buy them, and you get to talk to the rock seller. Whereas if you buy them online, sight unseen, sometimes you end up with a bunch of junk. Okay, all right, we'll see you guys next time. Friday night. Starts at 8 p.m. Eastern. We'll see you then. All righty, good night. Bye-bye.